everybody, it's Ann Kaplan from Mom Me, your mama resource from conception to college. Wherever you are on your momming journey, we are here for you. And this week, the theme in the group is meal times. Specifically, the most common questions I get about meals with my clients are disrespect, like hating on the food that mom provides or dad provides, being super slow at the table, having horrible table manners, or refusing to eat, being picky eaters. So we're going to be talking about all of that stuff in some regard this week. Today is Tuesday. It's my Mythbusters day. I always try to start the week off by really pointing out and shining some light on the misconceptions that we hold as parents that get in the way of us having effective results with our kids, whatever topic we're talking about. And this week it's meals, so let's talk about it. What is going on with meals and your kids? I put a poll in the group this yesterday, and so many people chimed in. Slow eaters, picky eaters, complaining about the foods. It's all coming up. So I think that this week is going to be hitting the nail on the head for you. I actually even have a private client right now who's Marco Poloing me with questions about food and getting her kid to eat and all this stuff. So let's start with these Mythbusters, and you guys know the first myth I'm going to bust. It's the same one I bust every Tuesday, which is you're a bad mom. You're a bad mom if your family doesn't have a Pinterest perfect dinner routine every month, every day. Or if you're here with me in Spain, you probably don't have a dinner routine, but you might be striving to have a lunch routine, which is what we do in our family because when in Spain, do as the Spaniards do, right? But whether it's dinner or lunch or whatever, your dinner time or mealtime traditions and routine do not have to be Pinterest perfect. I can promise you that. And putting that pressure on ourselves about our kids' behavior, about the food that we're preparing, about the way that everybody behaves at the table, and the way that we interact with our kids is really, really, really actually making it almost more probable that it's all going to end in a disaster. So put that little Pinterest image outside of your brain the same way you've probably already been forced to do with all the other areas of motherhood. It ain't like it is on Pinterest, right, mamas? So that's myth number one. Myth number two is that your meal times have to look a certain way. And what I mean by this is the actual tradition and routine and behavior itself doesn't have to look a certain way, and the food that you're serving and all of that stuff does not have to look a certain way. It's much more effective in all of our pursuits as parents, but particularly mealtime, that's what we're focusing on right now, for you to sit back and actually decide for yourself what you want your own mealtime to look like. Mealtime could be, like in some families, everyone prepares their own food, but we all eat together. It could be mom prepares the food, but everybody eats at their own time. It could be that we all sit down together, but guess what? The food is takeout, or it's a Blue Apron thing, or it's like what we call in our house snickety snack dinner, which is crackers, cheese, hummus, carrot sticks, whatever. Mommy's lazy. That's what that means. And actually, now that my kids are older, I can actually ask them to prepare snickety snack dinner, and they actually come up with something really healthy because snickety snack dinner is a thing in our house. So the food doesn't have to look a certain way. It really, really doesn't. And the routine doesn't have to look a certain way. Like in our house, dinner is like fend for yourself. The only person I take responsibility for feeding at dinner time is Sky, my 4-year-old. Everybody else is on their own because dinner time in Spain is late and mommy works late and it ain't happening, people. So our family mealtime is lunch. That's a perfect example of making it work for you. And if you're my client, what I would be doing with you is sitting down and actually figuring out, like, why do you want this to be your routine? Do you even want a mealtime routine? Like, why don't we actually create something from the bottom up that's going to work for you instead of trying to impose some sort of idea of what it's supposed to look like? Myth number three. This is the one I joke around all the time about because it was like a wake-up call for me. But how many times have we been told over and over and over again the correlation between eating together as a family and all this really great stuff? So the myth I want to bust for you guys this week when it comes to meal times is that if you don't eat family meals together, your kids are going to become drug addicted criminals if you don't eat dinner together every night. That's not true, you guys. And once again, putting that pressure on ourselves is just so counterproductive. It's actually probably the thing that's making it so that you never have mealtime together. So if you're struggling with that stuff, put it out of your mind. And the last myth I want to bust for you is that You have to tolerate miserable behavior, rude and disrespectful comments from your kids and all that stuff if you want to have meal times with your kids. That's not true. And neither is it true that you have to cook only kid-friendly macaroni and chicken nuggets every single day if you want your kids to eat with you. That's not true. What we're going to be talking about this week is how to set those boundaries with our kids about not what we want them to do. So I actually had a client call recently with a mom who was frustrated with it's kind of funny. I have a client who just called me about potty training and another client who just called me about meals. And I said the exact same thing to both of them, which is kids are really, really good at finding the things you can't control. And it almost always is sleeping, food, or bodily functions, meaning pooping and peeing. Those are like the big three things that kids dig their heels in on. So I really want you to take your I have to force my kids to eat healthily a certain way hat off and put on the hat of my job is to provide the opportunity for my children to eat healthily. It's their job to decide if they're going to eat or not, because you can't force your kids to eat. So I want you to think about setting boundaries this week, not about what your kids have to do, what they're not allowed to have if they don't act a certain way, none of that stuff. Your boundaries that you're setting around mealtime, and if you're a client of mine, you know that this is true for all of behavior stuff that we do with our kids, not just mealtime, but the boundaries that we're setting are about setting limits for ourselves about how we will be treated, the environment that we want to spend our time in, and what we do for people who treat us certain ways and things like that. That is the way that you are actually going to protect the sanctity of your family mealtime and consequentially actually get all the behavior that you were hoping to get in the beginning by forcing your kids to do certain things. So I hope that's resonating with you guys. I hope that's landing. There's been some comments in the group this week about how the ways that our parents sometimes have forced us to eat when we were kids, like can't leave the table until you cleared your plate, got to be a member of the Clean Plate Club, you know, you don't get to do this or that until you've eaten all your dinner. All of those things really contribute to dysfunctional eating, and they contribute to hugely magnified power struggles with our kids. So we're going to be throwing all of that stuff out this week and digging in on setting healthy boundaries for our kids that are going to improve the mealtime environment that we have and setting things up from a place of actually what works for our specific individual families. I love you guys so much. If you want some more information about how I work with clients, especially mealtime is for sure part of the coaching work that I do with people. And I'm sure by now, if you're watching these videos, you already know that my philosophies do not vary. The topic varies, the philosophies stay the same. So if you like what I'm saying and you like the attitude and approach I have to child rearing and you want to get a little bit more and dig your heels in a little bit more on this stuff, comment on this video and I will send you my free guide to getting kids to listen the first time we ask. It is super helpful, awesome free guide. And like I always say when I talk about it the last couple of weeks, it's not going to be free forever, you guys. There's going to be a day where I'm not offering this guide in my videos and you will have missed your chance. So comment on this video and I'll get that guide to you ASAP, and stay tuned all week long because we're going to be talking about mealtime stuff all week. Bye.